Hi, good evening to everyone. Thank you so much for coming. I know it looks empty, but we have hundreds of people who are watching us on streaming live, so we are not alone. And again, thank you all for coming. I'll introduce myself. My name is May Brown. I'm the Israeli Shlicha, emissary of the Jewish community in Seattle. Thanks to a grant from Sammy's Foundation, I'm here as a representative of the Jewish Agency for Israel. And I want to thank you all for coming. I know it's raining and it's cold, and it's so much better to stay home, but you chose to come here tonight, and it's very appreciated. Those last 56 days have been very hard on all of us in different shapes, but coming here together as a community today makes it all a bit better. So I really want to thank you all for coming tonight. We have two very special guests. The first guest is Shye Klein over here, who is going to give us a testimony tonight. Shye was saved from the Nova Party massacre, and he's here to tell us his story. And I feel very privileged to be able to hear that. So Shye, thank you for coming. Shye is here thanks to an initiative called The Faces of October 7th. It's actually a civil initiative run by young adults, Israelis, who understood how important it is to for Jewish communities and different campuses around the US to hear the stories firsthand. So it's a very beautiful and important initiative. So we are happy to support it. Our second special guest is Ambassador Marco Saramonta. He's the Consul General of Israel to the Pacific Northwest. He's a diplomat since 1993, and is dedicated to build partnerships and support Israel in this region. His presence here tonight underscores the solidarity between our communities, and for that we are extremely grateful. Before I invite him to speak, let's just take a moment to appreciate the fact that we're all here together, like a mishpacha, which means family in Hebrew. And as a mishpacha, we're here together to hold this complicated moment. And I really cherish the fact that you're all here. Now, with great honor, I invite Ambassador Saramonte to share his insight and perspective with us.
Thank you very much, and thanks for everybody joining us online. We are gathering here almost 2 months since the most murderous terrorist attack Israel's ever experienced in its history. On October 7th, Hamas launched the most brutal, barbaric, wide-scale terrorist attack in decades, larger in scale proportionally than 9/11. As part of their pogrom of innocent civilians, Hamas committed savage war crimes and crimes against humanity on a large scale that could amount to the crime of genocide. From abduction to rape to burning to beheadings, Hamas has showed the world what they would do to every Jew if they only could. We have faced and are still facing unprecedented loss. The personal and national trauma felt in Israel and across the Jewish world will remain with us for decades to come. The days following the events of that dark Sabbath have been long and sad. The atrocities and the barbaric cruelty to which we continue to be exposed are accompanied by more and more testimonies like the one that you're about to hear from Shye. In the last few days, we are also becoming aware of what our hostages have had to endure. Women kept in cages, children forced to see footage of atrocities and threatened at gunpoint to make them stop crying. In the dark, damp tunnels, human shields of an evil foe. My dear friends, at the same time, other kinds of horrors are at our doorstep, this time from the supporters of the genocidal murderers of Hamas, an ISIS-like organization who continue to celebrate the murder of Jews on the streets and in universities around the world, including here in the US, including here in Washington State. The war against the forces of darkness and evil in the world, just for justice, for the Jewish state, and for the Jewish people has only intensified in the face of a wave of hatred and lies that seems to be emboldened by the horrifying images the entire world has witnessed. The urgency to come together in one united front, both at home and around the Jewish world, derives also from the fact that, as we have seen, this attack on Israel has been used in order to incite, intimidate, harass, and act violently against Jews everywhere, bringing anti-Semitic incidents to an unprecedented level. In the pro-Hamas demonstrations, on social media, in schools and on campuses, in attacks on Jewish-owned businesses, and in politics. It is coming from the ultra-right, from Islamic extremists, and from the so-called progressive left. This is unacceptable and requires an unequivocal political response. Dear friends, as the horrors of the October 7th massacre, that nightmarish pogrom, continue to unfold before our very eyes, it is shocking to see how the unimaginable brutality and savagery of Hamas has receded so rapidly in the memories of so many. Moreover, it is astonishing to see how even as forensic evidence is still being recovered and remains are still being identified, there are those that have already turned to incredulity or even outright denial of our tragedy, multiplied hundreds and hundreds of times. This denial, which came so much faster, also thanks to social media, than the other denial, that of the Shoah, is exacerbated by the shameful silence from UN bodies and civil society organizations which claim to advocate for the rights of children and women, unless these children and women are Jewish, of course. This is why we are here tonight, in a moment of Vehigadata lebincha, and you shall tell your son. We have not forgotten what Hamas did to our people on that fateful October 7th. We will never forget what they did, nor the silence of our so-called friends or the support from the real ones. And we will make sure the world does not forget either. Thank you very much. Shye?
Good evening. I want to thank you all for coming out here tonight to hear and see what I have to share with you, as difficult as it may be. I know we all feel it's very necessary. My name is Shye Klein Weinstein. I'm 26. I'm a photographer from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. And just this past April, I went to Israel on a vacation, and I didn't come home. I decided to stay and make Aliyah. On October 7th, myself, my cousin Mordecai, and several friends, for a total of 8 of us, decided to attend the Supernova Music Festival. This would be my first music festival. Initially, I had no intention of going. I thought I wouldn't enjoy it. I thought it wouldn't be any fun. I thought it'd be dirty and crowded. With music I don't enjoy, with people I don't know, with people who are strangers to me. And I'd go home tired and hungry and grateful that it was over. But that was not the case. In fact, up until 6 a.m., that was some of the most fun that I've ever had since going to Israel and making Aliyah. Can you go to the next slide? And the one after that. If you've ever been to a music festival or a concert, you know what you felt at your first one. Joy, excitement, eagerness, adrenaline, maybe anxiousness, looking forward to the bands or DJs that were about to perform, looking forward to having a good time with the people you went there with, looking forward to making new friends and new relationships, looking forward to it being over so you can talk about how much fun it was and say how excited you were for the next one. This is what my first music festival was like. This was shot around 5 a.m. It was incredible. We arrived to the festival and immediately we're met with the sound of the bass from the music. Immediately we're met with cars upon cars upon cars arriving ahead of us, pulling into the dirt parking lot. We see all of the people, all the cars, hundreds and hundreds of cars, a huge lineup of people waiting to get in eagerly. Myself, my cousin, his girlfriend, his mutual friends of ours, waiting to get in to see two of our friends who are already there waiting for us in anticipation. We get into the festival ground, we get our bracelets, and we're immediately met with the view of the camps, the view of everybody's rest area. Everybody is set up with their tents, with their canopies, with their chairs, their mats, their food, whatever. Everyone's laughing, everyone's hugging, everyone's kissing, everyone's happy. There's an overwhelming sense of joy. There's an overwhelming sense of excitement. It's one of the most positive environments that I've ever been in. You go there and you can feel the positivity around you. We meet our friends who are already there. We say our hellos. We set up, and now we're ready to go. We make our way into the festival ground, and we're met with the main stage, which you saw in the previous video, a large Buddha statue. In the middle of the festival ground, there's bars. Next to the bars, there's a market for people to sell whatever they're here to sell: clothes, bags, shoes, jewelry, you name it, body painting. There's a safe zone in the back for anybody to take themselves out of it if they felt unsafe or unwell. They can just take a rest. Off to the side, there was an arts tent. For art, people painting shirts, shoes, canvases, whatever you want. We enter the festival ground and we head to the smaller stage in the back of the festival, and that's where we spend the first 3 hours of our night, first 2.5 hours of our night roughly, before we make our way to the main stage where the good DJs are. Now, if you've ever been to Israel, you know Israelis have unlimited energy when it comes to parties. I'm from Toronto, Canada, and I do not. I have to take a break. I have to take a breather. I need water. I can't dance for 6 hours without stopping. So I tell my friends, I tell my cousin, while you guys are here, I'm going to take my camera, I'm going to walk around, I'm going to meet some people, I'm going to take some photos, and then I'll come join you again. And that's what I do. I set off with my camera, and some of the first people I meet, getting a coffee, is Dor and his girlfriend Lali. I only approach Dor because I see his white coat, and I think, this guy is stylish, he must be really cool. And he absolutely was. I speak to him, and I learn that he wasn't at the festival as an attendee, but he was working. He's a masseuse. He had a stand at the festival where people could get massages, something you can really use after dancing for 5 hours. We make our introductions, we talk a little bit, I learn about what he's doing, and I ask them if I can take their photo because I think they look great together, and they're more than happy to have their photo taken. I get their contact information, I say I'll see you around, and I carry on towards the market. Next slide. That's where I meet Shye and Dor. Shye and I, our conversation mostly consists of our shared name. Not much else. Dor, I learned, was at the festival. He comes to these festivals and these events to sell jewelry that his brother makes, jewelry that he and his brother sell together. He is the vendor, his brother is the craftsman. Our conversation mostly consisted of how much he enjoyed working with his brother, how talented he was, the time he's been doing this, how long, where he's been, music. I learned that he's a musician. He loves to play guitar. I asked them if I can take their photos. They're both more than happy to let me. I get their contact information. I say goodbye, I'll see you around. And I carry on towards the arts tent. Next slide. That's where I meet Jessica, Jesse, and Itamar. Jessica is an incredible tattoo artist, an artist. Lives right near my grandparents. Itamar is a phenomenal graphic designer, an artist, and Jesse works in mental health care. Our conversations are not long, but I can tell these are people who I know I'll be friends with, even though I only just met them. I tell them how amazing their art is, because it is. They are absolutely amazing. And I ask them for their photo. Even though it's not very good, they're happy with it regardless. I tell them after the festival, I'll take a better photo of you. No problem, I promise. And I get their contact details. And I carry on. Next slide. As I'm making my way back towards my friends, I'm stopped by Noah, Shani, and Arik. And all they want is a photo together. And I'm not going to refuse that. They're very kind, very sweet. I share with them it's my first festival. They say, I hope I have fun. Looking forward to seeing me around, so on and so forth. I take their photo, I get their information. See you around. And I carry on. And I'm doing this throughout the night, between taking photos, dancing with my friends. Next slide. These are my two friends who were already at the festival waiting for us, Barak and his girlfriend Almog. My cousin Mordecai and Barak are very into the psychedelic trance music scene. It's because of them that we're all here in the first place. They organized this little outing of ours. And I'm very grateful they did. Next slide. This photo of Itamar is taken in the camp area. He's lit up by the orange lights in the trees. I only took his photo because I really liked his sweater. I introduce myself, ask him for his photo, compliment his sweater, ask him how he's enjoying the festival so far. This photo is taken just around 5 a.m., just after that first video you saw. I say goodbye, and now, as the night's carrying on, I'm going back to the dance floor, dancing with my friends, and then my friends decide to go and take a break. I'm still walking around taking more photos of people, and now it's around 6 a.m. I text my friend Ellie, hey, I'm almost ready to take a break. I need a breather, I need to sit down, I need to rest. I'm going to come meet you, and together we'll head off, meet the others, and we'll all just hang out for a minute. We'll wait for the sunrise, and then we'll all go back to the main stage and continue when the DJs come on, when the other DJs switch out. As I'm looking for Ellie at the main stage, I'm on a FaceTime call with her. There's a lot of people. There's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds more people at the main stage dancing, and it's very crowded. If you've ever been to a concert, you know it's hard to find one person. So I'm on this FaceTime call with Ellie, and I'm showing her the speakers to my left. I'm saying, I'm here, where are you? She's showing me the speakers to her right. She's saying, I'm here, where are you? And eventually, we do find each other, but not because we looked really hard, but because 6:30 comes around, and that's when the first rockets are caught overhead. The music takes a pause. Everybody takes a pause and looks to the sky, looks to where the booms came from. The crowd parts. more rockets. I find Ellie, I put my arm around her, I say, let's go to the others. I'm on edge already. If you've ever been to Israel, you know rockets are not an unusual thing. It's not abnormal for there to be rockets. Typically it's only 1 or 2, maybe 3 that's pushing it. This was dozens more. Hundreds and hundreds of rockets from both Gaza and the Iron Dome being intercepted right above our heads, not even hundreds of meters. Typically when you see rockets caught by the Iron Dome, you see the explosion and then 10 or 15 seconds later, you hear the boom and you feel the air shake. Except in this situation, it was all so close to us, there was no delay. We were seeing the explosions, hearing the explosions, and feeling the air shake almost immediately. So many rockets, it sounded like a drumbeat. We make our way back to our camp where our friends are, and everybody is nervous. Nobody's scared, nobody's running for their life, nobody's terrified, nobody's panicked. Most people are just upset that they had to stop dancing. And I can't blame them. There's an overwhelming sense of nervousness with the festival ground. But again, nobody's scared, nobody's terrified, nobody's dying. It's just rockets. It'll be all good. They'll run out. The Iron Dome will catch them all. We'll either continue to party or we'll go home. A or B. As the rockets continue, my friend Yael, next slide. My friend Yael is reading names off of her phone. Rishon LeZion, Ramat Gan, Kfar Aza, Herzliya, Petach Tikva, so on and so forth. Names of places where the red alert is going off. Names of places where rockets are getting to. And we're starting to talk whether we should leave or we should stay. It's not much of a discussion. It doesn't take very long. Some of us think we're safe and that it's okay. They're not targeting us. I want to leave right away. I don't like it. Rockets are still coming. They haven't stopped. Every time one goes off, everybody jumps. Could you play the video?
Yeah, everything is fine. Really fine.
It's the part is over.
אני מעדיף שכולם יסעו ואני אשאר ואז... זהו, אני גם מעדיף להישאר פה.
The part is over, even if we don't want it to be. Nothing is continuing after this. Are you saying stay because it's safer?
No, they don't shoot at us. They shoot at the...
Everybody's gonna get out.
You don't have a safer from here.
No, of course.
Wow, anyway, so we are not in big danger. That's the thing.
But I'm just saying, like, there's no reason, because the festival is not continuing after this.
I don't think so.
So maybe we might as well just start packing up. Unfortunately.
No, I mean, there's no rush because let everybody...
Oh, because everyone's rushing out. Yeah.
It's gonna be a fucking jam.
I understand.
כן, כולם. Yeah, everything is fine.
Now you gotta exit the full screen. As you can hear, there's no danger. There's no rush. It's just rockets. And you have to hit the exit full screen button. Yeah. No reason to panic.
Fine.
Nobody knew what was going to happen. I think we could all feel something was wrong, but nobody knew that within the hour, men with Kalashnikovs were going to come into the festival ground and brutalize everyone. It doesn't take much discussion for us to agree that we should go. There's no arguing, there's no convincing. Not even 5 minutes after the video, we come to the consensus that, yeah, we'll pack up and we'll go. Now there's 8 of us there. What we had at our campground, you don't need 8 people to pack up. So I told my cousin, while you guys pack up our things, I'm going to go around, help other people out, and take some photos, and then we'll go. 15 minutes is all I need, not even. He's like, take your time, take half an hour if you want, whatever. I tell him it's not even going to be that. I'll be fast, don't worry. And I walk around the camp areas. Next slide. First, I meet Ori and Yevgeny. All smiles, joking and laughing, not nervous, not anxious, nothing adjacent to those feelings. Having breakfast, totally cool. I think it's really interesting to see them joking, laughing, and smiling, eating breakfast while there's a rush around them of people leaving. Because people are leaving. Not everybody's waiting. People started leaving right away. I asked them for their photo. They're obviously happy to have it taken. And I carry on. I don't bother asking for their contact information because it's not something I'm thinking about right now because I'm so on edge. And I continue on. Next slide. Then I meet Odeya and Ite. Odeya was there working as part of the security. She was not armed, so I can only assume her job there was just to make sure we stayed safe amongst ourselves. Ite was struggling with his canopy, and she was helping him, so I lent them a hand. Afterwards, I asked for their photo, and they're more than happy to let me take it. I say goodbye. I'll see you around. Be safe. And I carry on. I take a few more people's photos, and then I make my way back towards our camp. Next slide. This is my cousin Mordecai, and the man next to him, the same man you saw in the video, Ran Schaefer. Ran stayed in the hammock almost the entire time, again, not worried, not anxious, not sweaty, not panicked, not nervous, not anything even related to those feelings. In fact, the only time he voluntarily got up out of his hammock is when I asked him to take his portrait. We spoke a little bit. We asked him where he's from. He said he lived in a local kibbutz not far from where we were. He lived in kibbutz Be'eri with his family and his kids. This wasn't his first festival. It wasn't his 10th. It wasn't his 15th or 20th. He was very experienced with these festivals. He was a veteran festival goer, attending them since he was our age. So I come back to our camp area. I take this photo. We're about ready to go. As we pick up our things and begin to head out, I hear off in the distance a sound, a very sharp sound, a very short, fast sound. Not from within the festival ground, not from the DJ, not from any cars in the parking lot, not from anyone's personal speakers. Not a sound that I recognized throughout the night or anything like that. A sound that sounded like machine gun fire. But I wasn't sure because there was so much going on. I asked my cousin if he heard it. He's not sure because there's so much going on. I asked my friends if they heard it. They heard nothing. But I heard this sound and it made my hands sweat. It made me feel sick. And it made me want to leave even more than I already did. Thank God, because we're leaving. Now we make our way to the parking lot. I haven't heard that sound since. Now we're in the parking lot. Next slide. That's where we meet Moti. He's checking on everyone. Are you okay? Do you need anything? Do you need water? Are you okay to drive? So on and so forth. You can play the video.
You can see my fucking hands by the
Shye, you're driving?
I'm absolutely okay to drive.
Good. You need water or something?
We have water. Thank you very much.
We're getting our things in the car. We're getting ready to go. Before we have a chance to actually load ourselves into the car, after we say we're okay, after I tell Moti I'm okay to drive, which I am, I only had one beer that whole night. I'm not a big drinker. I feel the most okay to drive. I was hyper aware. I felt like I could see and hear everything at that moment. Before we can load ourselves into the car, that's when all of us, my cousin, myself, my friends, Moti, everybody else in the parking lot, everybody else in the festival, that's when everybody hears gunfire erupt from the festival ground. That's when we all hear gunfire, sustained machine gun fire erupt from the back of the festival ground. That's when we start hearing it. That's when we start hearing screaming. That's when people start running, and now there's panic. Now people are running for their life. Now people are abandoning their things and they're fleeing for their lives. I throw my phone in the car. Myself, my cousin, Mordecai, his girlfriend, Tamara, Yael, and Eli, 5 of us hop in the car. Barak, Doraz, and Almog, somewhere else, together. The 5 of us in the car, and now we're going. We're driving down the road of the dirt parking lot towards the exit. Speeding as fast as I can, honking my horn, slamming my brakes, because I don't want to cause issues for other people. I don't want to hit someone and make things worse, because we're all in the same situation. We make our way to the exit, and what I see is this. I see cars. Everyone's trying to leave at the same time, and if you've ever left a festival or a concert or a sporting event, you know it's painfully slow. Even more so when everybody's running for their life. I see cars lined up parallel to one another, forwards and backwards. Everyone's honking, everyone's trying to get ahead, everyone's trying to get out through this one little narrow exit in this dirt parking lot. And I look at all these cars, and I look at my cousin, and I say, screw that. I don't want to wait. I don't know these people. They're not in my car. I'm not in their car. They're not my friends. I don't know them. I can't do anything for them. I'm only in this car with you 5, with you 4, right now. And he says, well, you have to care about them because they're your brothers and your sisters. And I don't respond. But I think to myself, you can't do anything for your brothers and your sisters if you're dead. So I make the decision not to wait. I drive our little 4-door sedan off the side of the road onto the rocky terrain of the Negev desert, around shrubs, around trees, around bushes, around rocks, up and down little hills, whatever. Past everybody, because I'm not waiting to see what's coming for us. I pass everybody, and now I'm right at the exit, but I can't leave because there's 2 cars in front of us, and the hill to our left is too steep to drive over. I'm white-knuckling the steering wheel, and I'm looking around at everyone else beside us and in front of us, and I'm starting to notice something. I'm starting to notice 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Some of these cars are empty. They're not even on. They've been abandoned. People are fleeing their cars on foot because they're so terrified of what's happening. The car in front of us had people in it, honking their horn and inching forwards, as you do in traffic when somebody's not moving. And I look through their windshield, I look through their car, at the car in front of them, and I see that it's not even turned on. I see that it's empty. I tell this to my cousin. I point it out. They're still honking, they're still inching forward, so panicked, they don't realize they're honking at an empty car that's not moving, that's not even turned on. So I tell my cousin to get out of the car, knock on their window, tell them what's up, tell them to drive around the abandoned car onto the road so we can leave, because that's something they can do, but not something we can do because we're so packed in. So that's what he does. He knocks on their window, tells them the situation, and they go around and they leave, who knows where. And we follow suit. Now we are exiting the festival ground. We're on the main road, and we can go 2 directions. There's left, which is blocked by security forces. Blocked by security forces because that's the direction to Kibbutz Be'eri, where Hamas has already started massacring over 80% of the population there. But we don't know that. We see it's blocked by armed men, armed security forces, and we obviously know that's not an option for us. We can go to the right, where everybody else is going, right down that main road further south. You may have seen photos of it, with all the cars stopped in the middle of the road, burnt out and shot up. I think to myself, I don't want to go that way because we just left gridlock. Everyone's going that way. I don't want to be in more traffic. So our only other option is to drive straight ahead into an empty, dusty, barren field with nothing in it. So that's what I do. I drive us into this empty field. Nothing in it. The only thing next to it, forest on the left, forest ahead of us, and in between the two patches of forest, a small cliff. But we don't even make it 50 meters into this field because my cousin's girlfriend, Tamara, in the back seat screams. She screams for us to run. She screams for us to get out of the car. Shye, Mordecai, Yael, Ellie, everybody out of the car right now. Everybody run. Everybody out. Because we're being shot at. Not us specifically. There isn't a man standing over there aiming at us, firing his machine gun. But everybody who's around us, there's bullets aimed at us, all around us, where everyone's being fired at. We can hear the gunfire. We know it's at us. So we run. We don't want to be in a little metal box as we're shot at. Myself and Ellie, ahead of everyone, running in the field. I remember saying to her, don't run too fast because you might trip. Eventually, after a couple minutes, we ducked down low to the ground in this dusty, empty field, holding on to Ellie so tight I feel like I might hurt her, my back to the festival ground. And I look behind us and I see my cousin's girlfriend, Tamara, and Yael doing the same, cowering down low to avoid being shot. And I look for my cousin, and I see him. I see his back as he's running back to the car to get it, to pick us up, because the way we left the car was slowing the flow of traffic, slowing down other people trying to flee for their lives into the same field as we have. He gets in the car, comes towards us, picks us up, and now I'm in the passenger seat and he's driving and the girls are in the back. And I start filming and I start taking photos. Next slide. Now there's dozens and dozens and dozens more cars in the field with us, and we're back in gridlock. Everybody doesn't have a clue where they're going. So much dust kicked up in the air, people's windshields are turning beige. Everyone looking at each other, like Or and his friend, exchanging confused looks, unsure of what expression to show the other in the situation. How do you express yourself when you're running for your life? Stuck in a car, in an empty field. There's no right or wrong way. Next slide. Nobody has a clue where they're going. No one. People are running on foot into the fields. People are running on foot into the forests. People are standing on their cars looking around. Can you play the video?
Can you blame them? Yes. You're not going to the field. No, you can't. We were just driving in circles. I'm watching those people over there. Yes, that is a road.
يلا دفاقلت.
Windows closed.
No, no تيش موت sounds.
Hard taking video and photo at the same time. I go straight to the field with these ones. Like you said, keep moving, yes? Wow, yeah, it's taking very nice. Very nice morning. Yeah, this is a good place to be. Everyone get down. Fuck. We're good. Everybody slide down in your seats. Samara, slide back down. What's the... Morty, can you answer this? What's the nearest border where they're maybe coming from?
You can stop the video.
Right, never.
It felt like we were driving around forever. It felt like it was hours upon hours in that field. It wasn't. So much dust in the air we couldn't see. We couldn't breathe because it was so hot in the car. We'd open the windows, and again we couldn't breathe. We'd suffocate because of so much dust that poured into the car. Our mouths dry, our noses blocked. But not long after driving around for what felt like forever, we spotted another field adjacent to us that you just saw, an orange grove. Without seeing that it was a road, just seeing the space in the crops, I said drive there, hoping it'd be a road, and thank God it was. Other people already there. As we're passing the rows of trees, I think there's men waiting to shoot us. I tell my friends to slide down in their seats in case we're shot, they don't die. And there were men in the fields waiting for people, waiting to shoot people, just not us. After driving down this dirt road into another field, through that field, we find a gravel road leading away. Only upon finding this road do I learn we're even near Gaza in the first place. I only know we're near Gaza now because my cousin says, "Where is East?" I ask him why. He says because East is away from Gaza, which is west of us. Who goes to a music festival or a concert or any sort of event and opens their map to see where the nearest enemy territory is? It's not a thought. Definitely wasn't for me. So now we're driving east towards the sunrise, towards safety. A couple of cars in front of us going down this road, around more blind corners, up and down hills. We pass 2 men on bicycles, 2 Thai workers. We invite them into our car. They ignore us. They don't climb into our car. We carry on. One of the 2 cars in front of us pulls off to the side behind a warehouse to hide. The car in front of us and ourselves, we carry on down this road. And after a while, we meet a paved road going left and right. Both us and the car in front of us decide to go right. Not even after 5 minutes of driving, the car turns around and goes the opposite way and waves for us to do the same. And we do start to make a U-turn, but stop because we realize this is back towards the festival ground and we don't want to be going that way. So we continue the way we were going initially, passing abandoned cars, reaching our first and second checkpoints. The first thing we're asked by the IDF, "Are you Israeli?" Yes. "Where are you going?" "Tel Aviv." We explain the situation. We explain that we left some sort of attack, gunfire everywhere, passing abandoned cars, cars riddled with bullets. They let us through each time. Rockets still flying overhead. Other cars passing us, going the way we just came from. Every time a car passes us, my cousin honks the horn and waves for them to turn back around, to leave, to go the way they just came from, because they don't know what they're going into. Every time he honks his horn, I think it's going to draw attention to us and we're going to die. Every time a car passes us, I think it's full of men waiting to shoot us. Doesn't happen. Again, after driving for what felt like forever, every 15-minute period felt like an hour. After what felt like forever, we're approaching the city of Netivot. I see apartment buildings in the distance. Another checkpoint. "Are you Israeli?" "Yes." "Where are you going?" "Tel Aviv." They let us through. A couple times at checkpoints, the soldiers aim their guns at me specifically because they say I'm holding something. I have to stick my camera out the window so they can see it's not a gun. All of us putting our hands up. Next slide.
Going.
Now we're approaching the city of Netivot, rockets overhead, sirens ringing out, abandoned vehicles, vehicles riddled with bullets. Next slide. We think we see a checkpoint in the intersection ahead of us. We see abandoned vehicles around them, and we approach, and we realize it's not a checkpoint. I realize it's not a checkpoint. No one's asking us where we're going. No one's asking us where we're coming from. No one's checking our vehicle or trying to ID us. I see there's a van next to us, an ambulance. There's an IDF Border Patrol vehicle here and there. There's a reporter reporting on what's going on a camera in the back of his truck. I tell my cousin to drive over the median and to go around all of it, because if it is in fact a checkpoint and they do want to stop us, well, that's something they're not going to have a problem doing because they're armed soldiers and we're not. We drive by them. We see ambulance workers crowded around somebody on the ground helping them. People peering out of the bunker, looking around. Rockets overhead. Next slide. This is that scene.
Go. Over the median. Yalla.
Oh, fuck. Fuck.
Good. Over. Nice. Ellie's got it.
Yeah.
Ellie has it. Ellie has it.
שחררו את הטלפון. אני חייבת, זה פשוט צע.
Next slide. As we carry on, more abandoned vehicles, more cars pass us the opposite way. Now we're starting to see more and more vehicles that have been riddled with bullets, abandoned in the middle of the road, facing the wrong way, facing the right way, pulled off to the side on the shoulder. Next slide. We see a kibbutz burning off in the distance. Although we don't know it's a kibbutz, we just see plumes of smoke all around us, here, there, behind us, in front of us. We see the smoke and we don't know what it is. We don't realize that each of these plumes of smoke is a kibbutz, with Hamas burning people alive in their homes. Can you skip forward 2 slides? As we're driving along, and now we're on the highway. We're passing the city of Sderot. We see a car. I see a car on the shoulder, on our side of the road, facing the wrong way. I see inside the car very clearly as we begin to pass it. I see the driver in the driver's seat, dead, shot in the face. We carry on. Not even 200 meters past him, more cars, abandoned, shot up, belongings on the ground, bodies inside them, bodies on the ground behind them. We carry on. Again, not even 200 meters away, we see another silver car on our side of the road, stopped, facing the right way this time, and we see 2 figures beside it, 2 figures growing closer as we approach, 2 figures moving, waving their arms in the air, as if they want us to stop or slow down or both. And we get very close, and now we can see them clearly. We can see what they're wearing. I'll tell you. 2 men, one with jeans, one with cargo pants, both wearing combat boots, black t-shirts, one wearing a tactical vest, the other without, carrying machine guns, both with black balaclava masks pulled over their heads. Definitely not IDF. We're parallel to these men, parallel to the car they're standing beside. Its doors are open, and we can see inside this car very clearly. In the driver's seat and the passenger seat, two bodies, a man and a woman, dead. One of the men raises his gun towards us as we slow down to comprehend what we're seeing, but doesn't fire. The other man with his back to us, and we can see his hands are the color red with blood. We lose our minds, tell my cousin to drive and not to slow down anymore and to drive fast, go now. He does. They don't shoot us. We carry on. Again, not even 200 meters away. Another car stopped on the side of the road, trunk open, belongings all over the ground, and from left to right, from the shoulder to the middle of the road, 1, 2, 3 bodies that we have to quickly drive around to avoid running them over. Unfortunately, we still run over the legs. Could you go back one slide? Not even a kilometer away, we think there's another checkpoint. It's not an IDF vehicle ahead of us. We pull up next to it. We ask the soldiers what's going on. We think it's a checkpoint. They don't even bother asking where we're going. They don't bother asking who we are, what's going on. They tell us to back up and to get out of here. They tell us to leave. It's not safe. I look ahead of them in between the two vehicles, and I see 2 officers dead on the ground face down. The man in the car tells us that there's terrorists hiding off to the side in the bushes, and it's not safe. We tell him we have to go through, we have to go straight ahead past all of this, because we live in Tel Aviv, we're trying to get to Tel Aviv, and we're not going back the way we came, because what we just saw, what we just passed is way worse than what's going on here. They let us through, they tell us to go fast, and fast we go. The whole time as we drive by, I think wherever these terrorists are, they're going to see us in our crappy little sedan. They're going to see us, obviously not soldiers, an easy target, and they're going to shoot us. But it doesn't happen. We manage to drive away. And from that point on, all the way to Tel Aviv, the only thing we stop for is other checkpoints, or the only thing we slow down for is to go around bodies and abandoned cars. Eventually, we make it home to my cousin's apartment in Tel Aviv at 9:45 in the morning, less than 4 hours after the first rocket's impact. Can you go forwards 2 slides? So now we're at my cousin's apartment. Everyone's sad. Everyone's crying or screaming. For hours and hours and hours, our friends coming over one at a time, our families coming over to take care of us, because everyone's hearing what's going on and they realize where we were, and they're terrified for us. Myself, my cousin, Tamara, Ellie, Yael, all 5 of us at my cousin's apartment, except there was 8 of us at the festival. Barak, Almog, and Doraz aren't answering their calls. They're not answering their texts. We have no idea where they are or what's going on with them. Nobody can get a hold of them. Nobody we know, nobody they know. We think they're dead, or worse. Only very, very late that night or early the next morning, I really don't remember because the first few days are a blur. Do we find out they're okay? Do we find out they survived and they were rescued by the Golani Brigade? They were rescued after 6.5 hours of hiding in a bush. After 6.5 hours hiding in a bush, listening to Hamas hunt and murder people around them. Laying so still in this bush in the forest that Almog has nerve damage in her leg. With Hamas so close to them, they can hear them having a conversation in Arabic. With Hamas so close to them, they can tell us how many men were around them. Over 10. With Hamas so close to them, they could even tell us that some of them were barefoot. But they're okay. So now I have another worry. I'm terrified that everybody I just met, everybody I engaged with, everybody whose photos I took have been killed. And I can't share their photos right to social media immediately because it was all done on film. I am forced to wait until Monday. I rush to the store to get my film developed. The streets of Tel Aviv are dead. I get my film developed, I scan it, and immediately I share it to Facebook and social media, asking, do you know these people? I met them at Supernova. I want to make sure they're okay. Please, if you know them, let me know, put me in contact with them, whatever. And right away, I start receiving hundreds of messages, hundreds of comments. Hey, I know this person, that's my brother. Hey, I know this person, that's my friend, that's my cousin, that's my sister, that's my daughter, that's my son, that's me, so on and so forth. Can you go back to the first slide of the couple kissing? So now I'm starting to learn what happened to everybody I met, everybody I took photos of. I learned Dor and Lali and their friend Gilad survived. Their friend Alex, who they were with, they got separated, and he was kidnapped into Gaza, and they still haven't heard from him. The three of them, Dor, Lali, and Gilad, fled in Dor's jeep towards Kibbutz Be'eri, thinking they'd be safe, only to find out once they got there, it wasn't safe. Gilad being shot in the head, the three of them having to run into a public washroom to hide, Dor holding it shut with his bare hands, Gilad bleeding out around them. But thank God they survived. Gilad did not die. Next slide. I learned Shye was rescued. She was saved. She's safe. She's alive in one piece. But Dor was not. He was murdered in the festival ground. Next slide. I learned Jessica also survived. She was saved by a man in a white van who saved over 15 people, brought them to a police station where she told me she witnessed the capture and arrest of 6 terrorists, and she told me that some of these men were our age. Men our age came to the festival with machine guns and grenades and RPGs to kill other people our age, happily. I learned Jesse and Itamar also survived. They were rescued. Next slide. I learned Shani escaped with some friends, not Noah and Arik. They escaped in their car down the road, but not before several vans pulled out in front of them, and men with guns opened fire on them. They all had to duck down in their car, and they just sped by them, sped past all these vans with men with machine guns shooting at them, and somehow they survived. Recently there was a video published where you can see Hamas executing some girls in the street, and you see people around them running away. In the background of one of these videos, you see a white car and somebody getting out of the car, running, tripping, getting up, and continuing to run away. And I only learned that that's Noah. She tells me that that was her falling over, fleeing for her life, while Hamas chased her and other people, executing them around her. She survived. Shani survived. Eric survived. Somehow. Next slide. You know what happened to my friend Barak and Almog and Doraz? Hiding in the woods. One more. Itamar survived. but not before he was shot twice and witnessed the execution of all of his friends. Next slide. And the one after that. Ori and Yevgeny also survived. Yevgeny went right to his Miluim service that same week. Next slide. Hodea was one of the first people I found to be alive, and we still talk, even today. In Israel, north of Tel Aviv, just 30 minutes away, there's an event venue called the Vatronit. Presently, it's hosted as a safe zone for people from the festival. It's called the Supernova Safe Zone. There, everybody who's at the festival is welcome. There's free therapy, free counselors, free food, massage therapy, and everyone else. If you want to find somebody from the festival, that's where you go. That's where I found Itay, and I hugged him, and we spoke, and he tells me how he and dozens of other people fled on foot for over 5 hours away from the festival ground. I asked him if he had heard from Hodea, and he didn't even know she was alive. He thought she'd been killed. They weren't friends, they were strangers. So I told him that she was alive, and he didn't believe me initially until I showed him our conversations and I played our voice messages. And only then did he let out a breath. He hugged me like he had never hugged anyone before. He was over the moon to learn that she had survived. Next slide. My cousin Mordecai obviously survived. He was in the car with me. Ran Schaefer did not. He was found dead in the woods, hiding. I only learned he was from Kibbutz Be'eri when his family told me. That's when I also learned he had kids there and a wife. And I am too afraid to ask them if they're okay, in the off chance that they're not. Only upon learning that Ran and Dor had been killed did I cry. Only upon meeting their families, to give them photos of them that had printed off, did I cry. I remember during the festival, speaking to Ran before we left, seeing him in the hammock, as calm as he was, as relaxed as he was. That was one of the only few times at the festival that I felt afraid, because I looked at him and I could see he didn't feel how I felt. And it terrified me. Next slide. Ellerin Moti also survived. He and a group of over 20 other people fled on foot to the site of Midburn, running for over 4 hours in the heat. Only being rescued because by pure coincidence, the people setting up the festival of Midburn were there. And they saw them running towards them and they rescued them. They picked them up and they took them to safety. Next slide. I even managed to find Or and his friend and learn that they were safe. All of these people, I learned they were safe and alive, and I did everything I could to meet them and hug them and tell them how glad I was that they were okay. Could you skip to the third last slide? It's a collage. Yeah, that's it. Even with rockets all around us, non-stop, people are still smiling and laughing and joking, unaware of what's happening, unaware of what's coming. Could you go back 2 slides? Play the video on the right. I went back to the festival ground 3 weeks later.
I come from
You can hear Dor
over
talking.
there.
Don't wait till the camera's on. So
Yeah, I will show you. I will speak about it 200,000 times.
Back at the festival ground, it's like it was a new place entirely, a place that I'd never been. A place of horror, All the trees covered in blood, riddled with bullets, the signs covered in blood, the tents covered in blood, people's belongings all over the ground, bullets all over the ground. You could see where people died. But being there really put in perspective how lucky we were and how easy we got off. We saw everything but people being murdered. Could you go to the second last slide? Out of everybody that I met at the festival, out of everybody that I took photos of, almost all of them are alive except Ran and Dor. Every single person is okay. They're in one piece. They have their friends and their families around them. They have the support of the community. They have the support from their friends. They have the support from strangers. And they're staying positive the best they can. They're not stopping their lives to be sad and stay indoors for 56 days. Because there's no difference between that and being dead. Hamas wins if you stop your life. Now, more than ever, it seems like everybody hates us. It seems like there's new anti-Semitism and everyone hates us now more than ever before, which is not the case. It's not new. It's not newly discovered. It's not new opinions that have just formed. People are just more comfortable sharing it. They're more okay with letting it out. But now, more than ever before, we really see how much support we have, more support than ever before, from within our own community, from ourselves to our friends, from outside of our community, from non-Jews. More support now than ever before. And it's only through this support for each other from the outside will we get through this. Because not doing so isn't an option. And we will get through this. Because that's what we do. We have to remember that even though something absolutely horrible has happened, something so horrible it hasn't happened in decades, we're not to stop our lives because they win. We have to make sure that we support each other and make it known in order to get through this. In spite of everything going on, in spite of the people who hate us and want to kill us and want to remove us and everything adjacent to those things. I'm sorry you all had to come here to see what I had to share with you. It's not something I think anybody should experience or see, but unfortunately it's something that is very necessary. It's necessary in order to bring awareness to what's going on, to remove that separation that's created when you see it on the news and you go, wow, that's bad, and you turn off the news and it's out of your way. It doesn't mean it stops. My friends, and my family, and everybody else you may know in Israel is still dealing with this. This is something that is ongoing, and we have to make sure it's known by as many people as possible in order to bring understanding. So I want to thank you for coming here and understanding. I want to thank you for coming here and giving me your support, giving me your attention, because it means absolutely everything to me. It means everything to my friends and our families back home in Israel. Unfortunately, events like this are what bring us together the most. But events like this really show us that we have to continue feeling joy and living our lives and having fun and doing the things we used to do and will continue to do for those who are no longer able to, for those who weren't given the choice. So thank you for giving me your attention and your time. It means absolutely everything to me, from the bottom of my heart. I'm Israel Chai. Appreciate it. Thank you.
I'm just going to make a couple very brief remarks and then open the floor to some questions. Our tradition is so incredibly deep that there is a verse, a pasuk for every single moment. In the book of Isaiah, God proclaims for the eunuchs who have chosen to hold fast to the covenant, for those who have had their voices removed and their ability to procreate taken from them, that God would provide for them a Yad Vashem, a monument and a name, rather an everlasting name that shall not perish. A Yad Vashem, a monument and a name better than sons or daughters. Shye, you are a Yad Vashem. You are a monument of strength and a name of courage. You have given voice and everlasting life to the faces of those who had their voices and their lives taken from them. Thank you. Thank you to each of you who are here this evening. Each of you are a Yad Vashem. Thank you to our partners who helped us make this evening possible. Thank you to the JCRC. Thank you to the Samus Foundation. Thank you to the Strom JCC. Thank you to Stand With Us Northwest. Thank you to the Jewish Agency. Thank you to the AJC. Thank you especially to Route 1 who made this evening especially possible. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you to anyone who understands that we are here to bear witness and to be a Yad Vashem. Like you said, I'm Yisrael Chai. I have a few questions that were submitted ahead of time, and I want to give you a few moments to gather your thoughts for questions as well. I'll speak into the microphone here. What do Israelis want from Jews in the diaspora?
I personally think that what we want most is to make sure that everybody knows that they're not alone. Everybody in Israel, everybody outside of Israel, we're all there for each other in order to make sure that we can get through this. There's no tangible want, just the knowledge that you're there, that I'm here for you and myself and everyone else.
How did this experience affect your perspective on the future and the possibility of peace in Israel?
It hasn't really changed my opinions of what's going on and what's been going on and what it will be like when this is resolved, whenever that may be. I personally believe that this will be a long and painful process, but by the end of it, we'll all still be around. We'll still have Israel. We'll still have our friends and our families. But whether or not there's peace or happiness with the outcome of what's going to come in 6 months to a year or longer, I'm not sure anybody can really say for certain.
What other questions might we have for Shye this evening?
No questions are okay too.
I don't have a question. I just want to say thank you very much.
Thank you for coming. It means absolutely everything to me.
Hi, Shye. Can you please talk about what else you plan to do while you're here in Seattle? Who else has the opportunity to hear your story?
On Sunday, I will be on Mercer Island at a rally. I will be speaking, although not as long. Tomorrow, I will also be speaking at Hillel. Yes, thank you. I'll be here until Sunday in various locations, sharing with people like I've shared with you. And then I'll be going back to the west towards Los Angeles to do it again. And then to Toronto to do it again. And then towards the middle of December, around the 20th, back to Tel Aviv, back to my friends and my family, where I belong. Any other questions?
Thank you very much again. I assume that you took a lot more photographs, and if you did take a lot more photographs, did you take a lot more of the deceased and injured that you saw, as well as the vehicles that were shot up? You're bearing witness to what you saw, and all of that is so important to share with the world who doesn't believe it happened.
I did take many more photographs, but I purposefully chose not to photograph corpses. The only bodies that I photographed were in the video that you saw, because I did not want my film to contain photos of bodies of people I had made friends with or people I may have danced with. That's not a memory I'd like to retain. It's not something that I wanted to capture. What I wanted to capture was something positive to look back on, instead of the horrors of what it turned into. Any other questions? Right here.
I have the most mom question. Are you feeling personally supported and taking care of yourself?
Yes, I am feeling supported and I am taking care of myself. Doing this, sharing with everybody, however many times that I may do it, helps. I have 3 different therapists that help immensely. I have all my friends back home in Israel that I talk to daily, that I call, that tell me they miss me, and they're waiting for me, and they can't wait for me to get back. And my cousins, and my grandparents, and my aunt back in Israel. And I saw my family for the first time in 7 months back in Toronto, just around a week ago when I went to see them. So I absolutely feel like I'm being supported and taken care of. Thank you. Thank you all for coming tonight. I hope you have an excellent rest of your night, and that you share what you saw and what you heard tonight with anybody that you know. Thank you.